This is Ingrid Rizzolo, and it is my talk. In this episode of It's My Talk, I am celebrating Katanji Brown Jackson, Biden's pick to replace the outgoing 83-year-old Supreme Court Judge Stephen Breyer. Katanji Brown Jackson is the first Black woman to be nominated to this esteemed position of Justice of the Supreme Court. If elected, she will become a constitutive player in the highest tribunal of the United States for all cases and controversies arising under the Constitution and laws of the United States. What makes me so proud is that Justice Katanji Brown Jackson is so eminently qualified for the job. Jackson is very accomplished, being a distinguished lawyer and a jurist. She has also served as justice in the U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C. Circuit, served as a United States District Judge, served as Vice President, as Vice Chair and Commissioner on the United States Sentencing Commission, and the list goes on. Katanji Brown Jackson is also well credentialed, having graduated from Harvard Law School's J.D. cum laude, a designation of a distinguished level of academic achievement. I am therefore in a celebratory mood based on the principle of representation. I will be in an even greater celebratory mood when, not if, she is confirmed. That Jackson graduated J.D. cum laude from Harvard Law School is also an indicator. According to MarketWatch, African Americans are merely 10 to 11% of Harvard University. And look what it has allowed for. A President of the United States, Barack Obama, and potentially and very likely the next Justice of the Supreme Court, Katanji Brown Jackson. This act of electing a minority is indicative of what is possible should change be effected so that all could be enabled for equity of access to quality resources regardless of race, color, or class, even if scaffolds have to be put in place to level the playing field for all. My heart sings so Black women are definitely rising in this country. There is now a Black woman, Kamala Harris, as Vice President, and a Black woman will be in the Supreme Court. And we cannot forget Stacey Abrams, who challenged the course of the 2020 elections. Given the climate, the possibilities could be endless for an elected Katanji Brown Jackson. Election to the Supreme Court of America is of primary importance as the elected justices as a collectivity act to ensure equal justice under the law for all Americans. They serve as guardians and interpreters of the Constitution and other laws. Katanji Brown Jackson will be part of this. To understand the important dynamic of the Supreme Court, one only has to consider landmark cases as in 1954, the court reversed its Plessy decision, declaring that separate schools are inherently unequal. Brown Jackson would bring her own authentic dynamic to the mix for a freer America. Her colleagues describe her as thoughtful and a collegial unifier, according to the New York Times. It is predicted she is likely to look for ways to compromise with conservative justices in the Supreme Court, a stance that is overly needed. Judge Brown Jackson will be an asset to this august but politically lopsided institution. Not only this, but Judge Brown Jackson's presence in the Supreme Court will be a win for America. A win for Jackson as a Black woman will transform this institution into an entity that is reflective of what America looks like, into an institution that is more reflective of the diverse flavors of America. Brown Jackson's presence in the Supreme Court will be a win for the unrepresented. For the unrepresented, she would be an inspiration as to possibilities. To little girls of color, her presence will be potentially empowering, giving them a sense of social valuing and self-importance. Brown Jackson's presence in the Supreme Court will position her with the opportunity to do as her predecessor Thurgood Marshall urged, to help to detangle laws and precepts that contribute to or are foundational to inequality suffered. Marshall similarly urged the use of the words of the Constitution to overturn injustices. She would do well to heed the proven wisdom of this past luminary. Thurgood Marshall, the first African American male into whose shoes she may step as the first African American female in the Supreme Court, believed in judiciary activism. From beyond the grave, he admonishes Jackson, in his own words, to get in there and reinterpret elements of the Constitution. Jackson herself embraces a similar philosophy, and she plans to use the words of the law itself to defeat inequities that may be embedded in it. Moreover, Thurgood Marshall encouraged indulgence in judicial decision-making. In essence, he urged the use of one's personal views to guide decisions and to discover violations and to sometimes be willing to ignore the precedent. Jackson will again do well to follow this injunction when she is confirmed. That Jackson's experiential background is in alignment with judicial requirements to operate at this level cannot be questioned. 40% of her practice was related to civil law. The other 60% of her practice was devoted to criminal proceedings. Jackson has ruled in cases of employment discrimination and in the Americans with Disabilities Act. Brown Jackson has also worked as a public defender. These practices of hers warm my heart, as they represent where her heart truly is. They indicate that she will represent the voiceless and the marginalized. Biden described her as a voice of wisdom. American Supreme Court can definitely benefit from what she brings to the table to realize a more empowered American citizenry. We also cannot underestimate the potency of Black leadership that her presence in the highest court of the land will symbolize. The depiction of Black leadership with concurrent enactments at this level will impact how the race is perceived and understood. America needs to see tangible departures from what is truly outrageous stereotypes. Katanji Brown Jackson's presence in this institution can contribute to some more powerful media coverages of the Black community and can serve to disrupt hegemonic discourses. This disruption can only be effected by Blacks occupying spaces that allow for the representative presentation of images that redefine the marginalized. Only then will the underrepresented or misrepresented be redefined to their own transformation as they view the possibilities of political and social power they were previously blinded to. A word to Judge Katanji Brown. Judge, you claim that race doesn't play a role in your work. But arguments, facts, and the law, however, race is an important identifier. It is who you are, Jackson Brown. The authenticity of all aspects of your identity, the authenticity of your voice and our ways is the dynamic needed to transform this institution in the interest of equality for all. Katanji Brown Jackson, I am rooting for you, and I hope you are approved. This position would afford you positional authority to change exclusionary practices embedded in the society and to dismantle practices that put some Americans at a disadvantage. In a season of shifting and even of divided ideologies, we need the likes of you, Katanji Jackson, in the Supreme Court with your reported capacity to bridge divides. This is Ingrid Zolo. It has been my talk.